Westplex 107.1, good morning to you. Hold on just a minute. Don't go away. It is BS in the morning, and I am B, and she is S. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Wow, what a team we make. Boy, this is going to be an interesting day today, Shelley. Interesting day.
Why?
Well, a historic day. Well,
Yeah,
we're going to have a president impeached, only the third time in history. I believe it's going to happen. You know, the crazy thing about this is I've given up on listening to the stupid hearings. It's the same stuff over and over and over and over. You know, I mean, you know,
yes, I do.
And it's like, okay, how many times? And you know what bothers me is
it finally becomes like the Charlie Brown teacher.
Yeah, exactly. It's to the point where it's like, and you know, and for me, it's like, okay, look, you know, this is why government is screwed up, because we didn't send these guys and gals up there to Washington, D.C. We sent them up there to solve problems. You know what I mean? Now, some people say, well, the president's a problem. Okay, whatever. But, you know, on your daily basis, okay, when you're driving around today and, you know, in your daily life, you know, that's not really what impacts you. What impacts you is, funding for roads and things like that, that kind of stuff. Anyway, I don't want to get into politics, but it's just one of those things. It's going to be historic.
You just can't help yourself, can you, Brad?
Well, think about it. I guess technically he's the fourth president to be impeached, although I can't remember. Nixon was in the process of being impeached. I don't know if they officially had, sent the articles of impeachment. That's how it works. The Senate or the House, sends the articles of impeachment to the Senate, and then there's the trial in the Senate. I can't remember if the House had already done that or if Nixon resigned before that. But essentially, it'll be Trump.
I heard that he resigned before he.
Yeah, I guess. I guess it was. Yeah, but the hearings were already going on, so I guess it's Trump, Clinton, and Johnson, I believe is not President Johnson in the '60s, but Johnson back after Lincoln. So anyway, don't want to talk about that. We do want to talk about the fact that it's supposed to be warmer today. Aren't you excited?
What is it going to be, like 37?
It's supposed to be.
It's a heat wave.
It's supposed
everybody.
to be. It's supposed to be.
Get your flip-flops out.
33.
33?
Yes, 33. I don't think we got above freezing yesterday. So
yes, we did.
Did we? Was it above freezing? Well, it felt like above freezing because the sun was out. It's 20 right now, so it's cold outside.
It is.
Tomorrow,
cold, yes.
Tomorrow, 43 for the high. Friday, 41. Saturday, 43. Sunday, 48. Monday, 53. And get this, Christmas Eve, 54. 54. Is this crazy?
That's funny.
This is like today should be Christmas Eve and tomorrow should be Christmas with the temperatures, don't you think?
Exactly.
Yeah, not 54, but what are you going to do? We are BS in the Morning. You can find our website at bsinthemorning.show. Excuse me, not a .com. That's that fake BS in the Morning out of Las Vegas, where there really is nobody named B and there really is nobody named S. There used to be a B, that was Brittany, but she's not there anymore. Now they have Izzy and Sparks is not his real name. But I have to tell you that Brad is not my real first name.
What is?
Igor.
I'm sorry?
Igor, I-G-A-O-R. Igor.
Igor?
Yeah, Igor.
I thought it was 005.
Yeah. Igor. My middle name is really Kromolarski.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah. And my last name is, well, it's not my real last name, but my real last name is
Hildebrand is not your real last name?
No, real last name is Smith. Igor Kromolarski Smith. You don't believe me?
No. No, that would be BS, ladies and gentlemen. That's the example of the quality of broadcasting that you get from the show.
Now, hold on a minute. Now, were you saying it's BS?
Yes.
You know what? Let me. There's this famous woman that I consult from time to time, and I'm gonna ask her. I'm gonna say, okay, famous woman from time to time that I consult. Okay, my name is Igor Kromolarski Jones. Is that true?
I believe that.
See, Shelley believes it.
Oh, that was one of the very few times that, actually that's not true. I pretty much believe you most of the time, and most of the time I'm wrong. So
okay, we got a lot of stuff to talk about this morning, but I have two things, and I'll tell you what, we'll talk about these next hour. One is that I guess there's been some stuff in the news recently about the racist hand signal. Have you heard this? The story about the racist hand signal, that there's been incidents where supposedly some of the West Point cadets in the Army-Navy game that they had recently, football game, that some of the Westport cadets were showing the white racist hand sign. And I keep hearing this in the news.
What is it?
Well, wait till I tell you what it is. You're not going to believe it.
Oh, that's for next hour.
Yeah, next hour. And then we're also going to talk about Tom Joyner. Tom Joyner.
Your cell phone story?
No, Tom Joyner is the DJ who's retiring. He's a famous DJ in our business. And there's an interesting aspect of his life that, believe it or not, I was sort of indirectly involved with. But that's a whole nother story.
Are you going to share that with us?
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that next hour.
Yay.
Yeah, we'll talk about all that good stuff. And, by the way, you know what? I was going to say we have a forecast coming up. We don't. That's the next break. So let's take a break. It is 6:16. This is BS in the Morning. And on the website, bsinthemorning.show, the Westplex 1071 is the website for the radio station. And if you want to listen to the podcast, you can go to bradbs.com. I had somebody yes to me say, well, that's not fair that you got a bradbs.com. Well, how come Shelley doesn't have a Shelley.com? And I'll go, I'll fix that.
Thank you, whoever said that, really.
And of course, if you are an Apple person, you can go to podcastbs.com. And if you're on your iPhone, I believe it still works on your iPad as well, too. If you have the podcast app on your phone, when you go to podcastbs.com, it automatically launches your app, and you're good to go. Okay,
yes.
Take a break right now. It is 6:17. Westplex 107.1, Hold My Hand. Shelley, have you ever seen the video for that?
I have not.
It's one of those videos that's like, okay, it doesn't make any sense. Because I'm a motorcycle guy and I'm a dirt bike guy, and the entire video is her with a bunch of dirt bikes flying around on some dirt, going over some hills and things like that. It's like, I don't quite get it. Why does that have to do with Hold My Hand? But maybe her boyfriend was a dirt bike guy, and hey, I got
like a skater boy.
I got a hit song, and I'm going to do a video. How about if I put you in it? I mean, who the heck knows?
They do tend to do that.
Okay, we're just talking off air for a minute. What was the date again? Did you have it? Do you have it?
Yep. December 17th, 2015.
It was yesterday. I missed it. Darn it. Darn it. December 17th. And what was the year? Was it
2015.
God, hard to believe. We're talking about the fact that yesterday, 4 years ago, right? 2015, so it was the 19th. So, 4 years ago.
Yep.
The Rams played their last home game in St. Louis. And the joke was, I was on the air in our other station in KSLQ, and I said on the air, I'm almost positive that tonight's going to be the last home game, because the rest of the games they played that season were on the road. So, and it was a Thursday night game. So I said, I think I can go down to the game tonight, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the last home game ever for the Rams, and I'm pretty sure I can get in to the game for free. I can get a free ticket. So I go down there, and I made myself a little sign. Do you still have that picture?
No, it's not. It's not on this.
Okay, I have to find it.
This is the video of Major Aho.
Yeah. Okay, I have to find the picture of me holding the sign saying, something like, hey, tonight's going to be the last Rams home game ever. I want to get into the game for free. Please give me a ticket or something like that. And I walked up and down in front of the stadium. And it's funny because, if anybody's been to any of the sporting events recently, you got all the ticket, the ticket resellers, the guys who are, trying to, sell you a ticket that somebody gave them, and they're trying to sell it for big bucks. And I walking along with my sign, and they're going like, hey, dude, no way you're going to get a free ticket. You just buy one. So I stand out in front of, I guess at that point in time, it was still the Edward Jones Dome, because they were still sponsoring the naming rights of the dome. And who did I run into? The Salvation Army crew. It was there, and it was their first night of an agreement between them and the Rams, where they were going to be involved with the Rams, and they were allowing them to have a bell outside the dome. And Major Aho was there playing his trumpet, and there were some other people there. There were some people from other radio stations there. It was actually sort of a nice festive night, and I got a free ticket. And everybody was saying, Lee, how can you say it's going to be the last home game ever? They're not going anywhere. The Rams are going to be here for a long time. I go, nope, they're gone. This is it. Last home game. And they played Tampa Bay, I believe it was. And matter of fact, some people called it the ketchup and mustard game. You know why they called it that?
Because they wore red and yellow?
Well, they had their alternate uniforms, and the Rams were in like bright yellow, and I mean all yellow jerseys, yellow pants that matched, I think even yellow socks. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were all in red. All, red jersey, red pants, red everything. I mean, like and we're not talking like a pale red. We're talking like red, and yellow. Like mustard yellow and or like, more like school bus yellow for the Rams and, bright red for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And
which, is yuck.
Yeah. And
it's not an attractive combination.
I sat up in one of the sections and I had some pictures that I took. The section I was in had some people in it, but the row I was sitting in had nobody in it but me. And the section to the left of me, or two sections down, was absolutely positively empty. And if you remember that night, they were promoting the fact, hey, we're giving away free stuff tonight. Get a free hot dog. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right, because they don't want, it's the last game of the season, plus they're leaving town. They're selling everything they got, And the sad part of it was, and I hated to be a skeptic, but I was right. But that was because, and you know the story, I had inside information. I had information from, at the time, we were running the Kansas City Chiefs on this very radio station. And I had some inside information from one of the higher-ups in the Kansas City Chiefs that said, he told me this 3 years before. He says, Rams are gone. That's how we ended up with the Kansas City Chiefs on a radio station. And he told me.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He called me and told me. He called me and asked me if we'd run the Kansas City Chiefs. And there's a rule same thing in Major League Baseball, same thing in NFL, that you can't, if your city has a team in it, you can't run on radio another city's games. And when he called me, he said, I got that. That would have been 2015. That would have probably been 2010, 2011 when he called me and said to me, he says, hey, we're looking for an affiliate to run the Kansas City Chiefs in St. Louis. And I said, well, you can't do that. Oh, yeah, we can. I go, how can you do that? He says, we got permission from the Rams. I said, how did you get permission from the Rams? They told us it was okay. So think about that for a minute. They didn't care, because they knew they were leaving. I think they knew they were leaving way back. And well, he claimed this was either, I can't remember, either 2010 or 2011. He knew back then they were gone. This was the guy from the Kansas City Chiefs. And he essentially said, they're gone. He said, they're going to L.A., And I kept telling everybody that. Well, I get inside information. Even to the point I went to the thing. God, I don't know if you remember this or not. They had a hearing, because part of the rules of the NFL were that you had to go, if you were thinking about moving, you had to have a hearing. And they had a hearing at, I guess it was, I don't know what it was at the time, Kiel Opera. I can't remember what it was. It's changed names. It was the Peabody Opera House or the Kiel Opera House. And I went, and it was all these NFL officials and people from the Rams. It was at Kevin Demoff, I think it was. And they gave a little speech, hey, we're here to hear what your feelings are on the whole bit. And the very first guy to talk was Randy Carricker. And Randy Carricker, and you know who Randy Carricker is?
I have no idea.
Big-time sports guy in St. Louis. He's been on ESPN 101 forever, ever, and ever, and ever. And interesting little sidelight is Randy Carricker was one of my students when I taught it at Lindenwood. So I'll give you an idea how long that was good. So anyway, he was one of my students. And he stood up and gave a very emotional little speech about how the Rams, have been adopted by the St. Louis fans and the Rams shouldn't leave. And he actually started to cry at one point, literally. And people would stand up and they'd have somebody walk around with a microphone. And right behind me, a couple rows behind me, was a lady, probably, maybe in her 40s, early 50s. And she was there with her father. And she stood up and her father was crying. And her father was like 80 or something like that. And she stands up and she says, look what you're doing to my father. My father just loves the Rams. And if you take the Rams away from us, my father will be heartbroken. And I'm going like, holy cow. And I'm going like, it was all a charade, and to the point where even, what was the coach's name? That when he was here, and then they fired him after he went to L.A. You know what I'm talking about?
I do, but I don't know what his name was.
Jeff Fisher, who, once again, I know several women who think he's the most handsome guy in the world. You know who I'm talking about? I know.
No.
I know one woman in particular who told me that she'd leave her husband for Jeff Fisher, and I looked at her and go, "Get out of here!" Oh no, I'm serious. I think he's the most handsome guy in the world. And what's interesting was once the Rams actually moved to L.A., there were a couple talk shows that they had Jeff Fisher on in L.A. talking about how, they were working on this. They've been working on this move for 5 years. And he came right out and said it. That like, the Rams are, and once again, we were the suckers. We were the suckers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Well, we were the suckers when they did the PSL.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I heard that. It's funny you should mention that because just today I heard that I think that money is the checks are going out either today or tomorrow, and it's like I don't know $3 or $4 million. So at least some of those people are going to get their money back. I don't know where the thing is. Where there was another lawsuit that you could get money if you bought the swag stuff. If you bought the shirts and hats and the pennants and stuff like that, you could get your money back on that too. Yeah, right. Good luck. It's like, have you ever been involved in one of those class action suits and they get the letter, "Hey, congratulations, you have won. You were involved with a class action suit on."
And you get like $5.67.
Well, no, you get a coupon or something like that. You don't even get any money. You get a coupon for like $10 off or something like that. And the attorneys just bought themselves, a new Ferrari, new Rolls Royce and a fancy ass house out. Did I say that? A fancy house.
Oh my goodness.
Fancy. Well, I meant a house where you
Don't
board.
cast any stones here, brother.
No, a house where you board your donkey. That's a fancy ass house. Didn't you know that? If you have a donkey in your house and it's a fancy house, it's a fancy ass house.
Okay.
Didn't you know that?
I actually have a friend who has a donkey for a pet.
I'm not going to go there. We got to take a break. Weather's coming up. One commercial.
Jennifer Wojcicki.
She's on the way. 6:37. Westplex 107.1. Good morning. That's what I just said. She's always jumping in on me. She's just like Shelley.
She always tries to butt in you, doesn't she?
No, actually, she's right and I'm wrong. That's the whole stupid thing. I'll admit it. I screwed up. Anyway, it is Westplex 107.1. That is who the radio station is. That is Brad. I am Shelley, and we do the show in the morning, and it's called BS in the Morning because there's a B and there's an S.
And there's lots of BS.
No, come on. Why would you say
Totally.
that? Why would you say that?
It mostly comes from the B.
No. Never. It's going to be a cold day. It's already cold, 20 degrees right now. Are you tired of this cold weather? Are you tired?
Oh, is that a question?
Yeah. Are you?
I'm pretty much well,
It's not
I'd
even.
rather have it this than being 100 degrees where it sits there and sucks the breath right out of you.
No, I'd rather have 100 degrees any day. I mean, because here's the thing.
No,
with
not me.
you can easily take off more clothes when it's hot like that. Okay, and you can find a place in the shade. You can go put a fan in front of you. You can go to in your car, turn on the air conditioning. You turn the air conditioning in your house. And unless it gets to be like 120 degrees, you're going to be okay. But
but when it's cold, you can sit there and put more layers of clothes on. You can turn up your heat. You can put blankies on. You can go in my car and put your heat seater on. Your seat heater on. I mean, it's perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you something which you're not going to believe. Okay. I'm looking at.
There's a shocker.
I've got the app here in the studio for my thermostat, so I can read what temperature it is. Okay, guess what temperature it is here in my studio.
What temperature?
Guess what temperature it is.
41.
Oh, wow. It's actually 48. It's warmer than you thought.
Wow. But I knew it was cold.
Bobby Day would love this studio. Young Bobby Day. He's a guy I worked with years and years and years and years ago. First thing he did, walked in the studio. I don't care if it was middle of winter. Walked in the studio. He took the thermostat, pushed it all the way down to the left as far as it would go, which would be like 50 degrees. And it would freeze up the air conditioner. Always had problems when he was on the air. And, I mean, he could not, he would get upset if the temperature was above 60 degrees. And
maybe that was part of his chi.
His chi?
Yeah.
Like in Cheech and Chong chi?
No. Chi. C-H-I.
C-H-I. That's
the thing
Chicago.
that you mess with me about all the time.
That's Chicago.
You're just Huh? No, no, it's not.
CHI is Chicago. Yeah. MDW is Midway. CHI, I believe, is the identifier. Isn't that what the identifier is for Chicago? CHI?
No.
What is it?
I don't know, but it's not. Well, I'll find out. But anyway, regardless of that, it's maybe that was part of his routine. Maybe that was part of, like, for example, I worked for the government, right?
Right. And I have a government story.
And there was
to
a
tell you.
gentleman that never washed his coffee cup.
Oh, gross.
I know. In 30 years, he drank black coffee, and he never washed his coffee cup. And somebody washed his coffee cup.
Yeah.
And he almost had a heart attack, and I'm not lying.
Okay, dumb question. So in other words, when he drank his coffee for the day, did he dump the old coffee out and wipe it out, or did he just leave like old coffee in there?
He just sat there, and he didn't dump it out.
Right.
Well, he did it when he was done, but he never rinsed the glass out.
Yeah, but in other words, he didn't leave coffee in it overnight. When he was done for the day, he dumped his coffee, and the coffee mug was empty, but it wasn't. He didn't wipe it out or anything like that, right? So he never even
correct.
I
don't know if Brad. I don't know. I wasn't his keeper, and I didn't sit there, and I was not
Shelley, you're the
guardian of the coffee cup. All I know is that when they washed his coffee cup, when his coworkers washed his coffee cup, he almost literally had a heart attack.
Oh man! And
that was part of his chi.
And if he worked for the Postal Service, that could have been really a terrible thing, right? Postal worker shoots up post office after they wash out his coffee cup, right?
Well.
No?
Nowadays, you never know.
Yeah, but
people are crazy nowadays.
Nowadays, he would file like a sexual harassment suit or something like that. That you were antagonizing him, that you were teasing him, that you were workplace bullying. Well, they said I had to have a clean coffee cup, and what's wrong with my dirty coffee cup? They cleaned it out, and I just lost control. Right?
Yeah, you never know. It just, slid the cheese off my cracker. Oh, and BTW, Chicago O'Hare, is ORD.
ORD, okay. And
from the smartest woman in the world.
God, you are. I have a government employee story that I have to tell, but I can't, yesterday, of how, man, I'm telling you, talking about lack of service. And I was at a government installation yesterday.
Was it a federal government installation?
Oh yeah, federal. And
really?
Oh my God, I could tell you this story. It was unbelievable. And the people, I'm in line and I'm asking a question of this particular person, and she has no idea what I'm talking about. And I even give her a document, and she brings another person over and a third person over, and they're having an argument as to, well, I don't know, and then they all three just walk away. And there's like 10 people in line behind me, and I turn around, and I'm going, hey, man, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get something done. And one guy behind me goes, hey, man, it's all good, no problem, we know how it is, we're here every day. And it's at a place, and I go, what do you mean you're here every day? Oh, yeah, every day, we're here. It's like this all the time. Sometimes we're here 15, 20 minutes in line. I go, no kidding.
Okay, so did they come to fisticuffs?
No.
When they walked away?
No, they came back and they said, write your name and phone number down here and we'll find out. And I thought to myself, I will never hear from them.
You never know.
I will never hear from them.
You never know.
I would be willing to bet you $50 right now that I will never get a call from them.
Standard bet.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
$50. Let's put between now and Christmas, I will not hear from them.
Well, that's not fair.
Well, it would be
they'll probably be on vacay.
No, it would be open ended. If I said, well, never. We'd have to wait till 2025. Till never when I die or something like that.
By the end of the year.
Okay. That's the deal. Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the problem, though. Before the end of the year, I will go above them. So if I don't hear by next week, I will take it to the next level up. Not that I'm trying to be a jerk or anything like that, but it's.
I would have started there anyway.
Well, you're smarter than I am, because I thought to myself,
I would have. I'm not going to lie.
I shouldn't be going here. I should be going right to the top person.
Yes.
and I think that's, and I get it. There's layers of government, but once again, it's to the point where when you go to like one of the things when you first started working with me, Shelley, and it's interesting. People who start out in any industry, they're always afraid that they'll be asked a question that they don't know the answer to. And you said that. Well, what if somebody asked me a question? And what did I tell you? Remember what I told you?
No, because
Oh, you do remember.
I probably didn't do it.
I said, if someone asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, don't say, well, I don't know. Say, that's a good question. You know what? Let me check with blah,
yeah.
blah, blah, because...
Let me check with my boss and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, or like if you're in a...
Which I do quite a lot.
Well, but if you're in a business that has a lot of different people, you say, you know what, that's a great question. And you know what? Joe, who works in our XYZ department, he's the expert on that. And I'll tell you what, let me, I got your name and I got your phone number and I got your email address. Let me talk to Joe and I'll get back to you. Okay. And then when you get back to people, because put yourself on the receiving side of that. If you ask someone a question in a business, they don't know the answer and they tell you that. And then when they do get back to you, you go like, wow, they really did that for me. They found out the information, and even to the point where maybe you even have Joe call the person, say, hi, I talked to Shelley today, and Shelley said you had some questions, and I'm the XYZ expert. What can I help you with, specifically? That kind of a thing. But yet, instead, it's like, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, by Christmas, you will have heard from them.
Well, but here's the thing, though. If I go above them, does that throw the bet off? If on Friday, if I show up at the big place downtown, will that throw the bet off? Here, let's put it.
You mean because this Friday?
Yeah, Friday. Because
before Christmas?
Yeah, because next week is going to be, how next week is. Next week, forget about getting anything done.
Yes, I know. That's why I thought the bet was unfair.
Well, but once again, I'm not going to sit back. I got to move forward on this project. I'm not going to sit back and wait forever,
Did you ask them a time frame when you might be expecting the call?
Of course not, because they're not going to answer me that. They're going to go,
That's when you ask them the question, so you know what to expect. So you know how to appropriately address the situation and then go above them.
Okay, whatever you say.
Did you just heavy sigh me? That's something I do.
What now? Did I do what?
Because you make me heavy sigh a lot.
Did I do what?
I just did that. Stop it.
Ain't nobody does that.
I love that, man.
Ain't nobody does that.
That is like the best commercial ever. It really is.
I talked to him yesterday, and I told him we're using it. And at first he was like, what? I go, we lifted that out of your commercial. And he laughed, and he said, that's Smash, by the way. And he goes, hey, man. He says, hey, man, that's cool. I like that. In the Smash, it's funny. He calls me, and he's got such a distinctive voice. Like he'll go, hey, man, this is Smash. And I go, oh, I didn't recognize your voice. And he'll laugh.
Well, when that commercial started first playing, I was like, Smash is on our radio station.
Right. And you know what?
Ain't nobody does that.
The whole commercial is mangled and in pieces. Yes. I mean, the whole commercial is just...
But see,
it's a visual in your mind.
He has a unique style. He gives the word picture. I mean, he's great at that.
He does.
Yes, and that's, theater of the mind. Hey, we're way late because of the fact that Shelley just wouldn't shut up.
Because you're a chatty Cathy.
It's 7:00. We'll be back.
Westplex 107.1. We're the first radio station in the country with a geofence signal. You leave the Westplex and you'll hear nothing but static. So don't leave. Westplex 107.1.
Is it time
Westplex 107.1. I love it when she flies away in her helicopter. Good morning to you, 710. It is BS in the Morning. I am Shelley. She is Brad. Our website is bsinthemorning.show. Going to be a cold day today. High about 31. Right now at about 21. So got a ways to go. Okay, Shelley, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, hold on. I got to turn you up here. Okay, there you are. Okay. Talked about this last hour. There's been controversy. Partly because of the fact that there have been some people on TV who have been flashing the racist hand signal, okay? And I keep hearing this in the news. I think to myself, okay, I don't really know what that is. I mean, I know you give somebody the finger. It's pretty much self-explanatory. Everybody knows what that is. And if you're like a Texas, University UT, you're like the Longhorns. You do the two fingers.
Yeah, you do your pinky and your thumb.
The horn,
and the
horn thing. Go Horns or whatever they go Aggies or whatever the heck they are. Okay, so I looked this up. Do you know what the racist hand signal is?
No, I don't.
Okay. It's you take your finger and your thumb and you put it together as a circle and you hold your three fingers up. Okay?
That's okay.
Yeah, I know that's okay, but it's not okay anymore. Okay, now here's the reason.
Really?
I swear. And this is, matter of fact, I'm reading this off of the ADL.org site. ADL is the Anti-Defamation League, and I believe that's primarily a Jewish league, a Jewish organization that is fighting against anti-Semitism. Okay, and they explain it, and they have a little graph here, and you're not going to believe this. Okay, when you hold your finger, your thumb, and your pointer finger, and you make a circle, your other three fingers go up in the air, okay? And you know what that means?
No.
It's a W for white. And the circle...
That's not a W for white.
I'm looking at the thing right now, Shelley. I'm not telling you.
In sign language, that is... Okay, you take your index finger and your thumb, put it together in a circle.
Right.
And then the other three are up?
Yes, and that's the W, like the W.
That's
and
sign language.
No. I'm saying they're saying that the three fingers up makes a W, okay? I'm looking at this little diagram they have right here. And the O, the O that your finger and your thumb form, that is the center of a P, and the rest of your arm is the P. So as you're like okaying somebody, you're actually saying white power. That's what they're saying. Now, here's the interesting story behind it is that, and it's interesting, the article talks about today and usage that dates back to at least early 17th century Great Britain. It most commonly signals understanding, consent, approval, or well-being. Since the early 1800s, the gesture increasingly became associated with the word okay and its abbreviation, okay. The gesture is also important in the Hindu and Buddhist worlds, as well as in yoga, where it is known as the Mudra, or the Vitakara Mudra, a symbol of inner perfection. The OK hand gesture also forms part of the basis for a number of words and concepts in American Sign Language, like you were talking about. It appears in many other contexts as well. Now, here's what it gets into the thing. In 2017, the OK hand gesture acquired a new and different significance thanks to a hoax by members on a website, 4chan, to falsely promote the gesture as a hate symbol, claiming that the gesture represented the letters WP for white power. The OK gesture hoax was merely the latest in a similar 4chan hoaxes using various innocuous symbols. In each case, the hoaxers hoped that media and liberals would overact by condemning a common image as a white supremacist. So these bunch of guys decided they're gonna essentially punk everybody. So that's the deal. So, and I'm going like,
what about when you sit there and you put your three fingers on the bottom and make that sign with your index and your thumb?
I can't do it.
That means something completely different.
I heard this. I thought to myself, this is unbelievable. I mean, this is like, so did you realize it?
I disagree with this. I do.
But this has gotten the big.
How stupid.
This is the
Stop
big deal.
it.
No, it's not me. I mean, there's this.
I didn't say it was you. I'm just like, stop it.
Well, it's goofy because of the fact that that people are going like, okay, so in other words, like if someone says to you, like if you're driving some way, and somebody's, like gives you the signal that, hey, pull in front of me, like I was in a traffic jam yesterday because of an accident, and I was in the lane where the accident was in, so I had to move over, and so if the guy motioned me over, he flashes lights and motioned me over. So if I would have given him the OK symbol, I would have been in trouble because that was white power.
I always give him the peace sign.
Well, yeah, but somebody will come along and go, well, that's actually victory over oppressed people. Somebody will come up with some goofy thing like that. So, yes.
Well, I personally think that this is ridiculous.
So that is the
and
racist.
we just need to stop.
That's the racist hand gesture. So, and you think I'm kidding. You don't believe me. Search it. And if you want to see, this is actually a pretty good site. This is the ADL site. It actually goes into, there's a big article that talks about how overwhelmingly use of OK hand gesture today still its traditional purpose as a gesture signifying assent or approval. As a result, someone who uses the symbol cannot be assumed to be using the symbol in either a trolling or especially white supremacist context unless other contextual evidence exists to support the contention. So,
What's a trolling?
you don't know what troll. Come on, you know what trolling is.
I really don't.
You put a little motor in the back of your boat and you go real slow and you catch fish. That's
I
what
know
trolling
that
is.
kind of trolling, but I don't think that's what they mean.
It's what you're in the basement. That's what that we are. You're in the basement. You're the troll. You're the basement troll. Hey, we got to take a break.
That's true, I am.
It's 7:17. Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the morning. I am S. She is B. And we have a website, bsinthemorning.show. Shelley, unfortunately,
Brad?
a great radio guy is retiring. Tom Joyner. Joyner. Tom is an interesting guy. Been in radio business quite some time. I think he was in St. Louis on his syndicated show for a while on 95.5 or The Beat or one of the black stations. Can't remember which one he was on. Tom Joyner is an extremely talented guy, but and me sort of indirectly involved in something that happened to Tom. And this will give you an idea of how things have changed technically in the radio business. Tom worked for, at the time, this is going back in the, I guess, the mid-'80s, Tom worked for a station in Dallas. Really, he was the number one jock in the Dallas market, okay? And it was owned by, at the time, it was owned by a company called Gannett, which is the newspaper business, which used to own Channel 5. Then they spun off Channel 5 and a new company called Tegna, which is like Gannett backwards or some weird stuff like that. Anyway, they wanted Tom to also do afternoons in Chicago. And go like, well, how's he going to do both? He flew every day. Every day, he would get off the air at his show in Dallas, doing 6 to 10 in the morning. He had a standing reservation. I think he flew United every day, every single day, Monday through Friday. He'd get off the air. He'd go to the airport. He'd get on a plane. He'd fly to Chicago, and he'd do afternoons in Chicago. And then after he got off the air at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, in the evening in Chicago, he'd get back on a plane and fly to Dallas. Next day, Tuesday, do his morning show in Dallas, get off the air at 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock, jump on a plane, fly to Chicago, get to Chicago, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, get to the radio station, do his afternoon shift, 2 to 6. Can you imagine that?
Well, that's basically a full-time job.
Well, but the interesting thing about it was...
And he's probably getting better traction flying than driving in Chicago.
You might have a point. It might be quicker for him to drive from Dallas or fly from Dallas to Chicago.
Well, he's probably flying into Love.
No, I think he flew in O'Hare.
Love. Love is Texas.
Yeah. No, here flying Midway. You're talking Midway, which is the Southwest Airport. I don't think he did. I think he was on United. And what was interesting was, the show. I think it's still on the air on CBS 48 Hours.
Yes.
Okay. Originally, I don't know if you know how that show started, and somewhere you could probably find this on the internet now. I recorded it years ago. The show 48 Hours was originally run by what was the guy on CBS? The guy was sort of goofy. The network, Dan Rather. Okay.
Yeah.
And what 48 Hours was, what they did was they took 48 hours and they gave you a slice of life. That was how the show originally was. They gave you 48 hours in someone's life or in an incident's life or something like that. And one of the features that they had, I think it was one of the very first shows they did was about Tom Joyner. And they showed him at getting up in the morning at 4:30 in the morning, taking a shower. And then they showed him going to the radio station in Dallas. And then they showed him leaving the station in Dallas and getting on the plane. And he knew he actually had the same seat every day. So they had, he had a standing reservation, and I can't remember if he flew first class or not. Anyway, everybody knew him. Everybody knew him at the gate. Hey, Tom, how you doing? And then he'd get to Chicago. He'd come off the flight. Hey, Tom, what's going on? And this was before all the different little, doodads and gizmos we have now. And the reason that I was sort of remotely involved in this was the guys here in St. Louis, guy by the name of my old buddy Jeff Andrew. worked on this project, and then Dave Obergainer, who was the chief engineer at the time at the old 93.7 where J.C. Corcoran worked, they worked on this new satellite system, and it was called a VSAT satellite, VSAT, V-S-A-T, which meant Very Small Aperture Terminal. And essentially, this was, like groundbreaking stuff in the 80s where it was satellites, but very, very small dishes. You didn't have to have the big 10, 12, 14-foot dish, small dish. And what they did was ultimately they put in a system, a complete uplink, downlink system at each of their stations. So ultimately, it got to the point where Tom, after doing this for a couple years, they worked on the satellite system, and they came up with the satellite system, and Tom was able to do his show from Dallas. Or he could do it the other way around. Like, let's say he was in Chicago, and he didn't want to go home that night. He could essentially stay in Chicago that day and go to the radio station, and they would put him up on the satellite, and he would do his show from Chicago into Dallas. But for like a couple years, he flew every day. And now it's to the point where, you and I can be halfway across the world and very easily talk to each other, broadcast quality audio with relatively little equipment. But back then it was like, that was like it wasn't pre-internet because the internet was around then. But still, it was like, like groundbreaking stuff. Think about where we've been in the last 30, 40 years. Things that...
It's been a journey.
Yeah. So it's sort of sad to see Tom. And the reason he's quitting is... He's
going to come back as a radio consultant?
Well, no. Okay, this is one of these stories that I'm going to tell it this way, and some people are going to go, oh, that guy's got a tough life. I can't believe he's doing that. The article I read, why he was retiring, was that they kept cutting his salary in half. Okay? When he first started doing this national syndicated show, after he left the station in Dallas and Chicago, he started doing a nationally syndicated show, and they paid him $14 million a year. And the next year next contract renewal, it wasn't the next year, it was like 3 or 4 years, they go, we can't afford $14 million anymore, so we're going to have to cut you in half, so we're going to pay you $7 million a year. And so that contract went for several years, and they go, we can't afford $7 million a year, we can only pay you $3.5 million a year. And that's what he was working when he retired from the show, which is like this last couple of days, because he didn't want to get his salary cut in half. So I'm thinking to myself, no, hold on a minute now. $14 million. They came in and say, Brad, we're going to have to cut your salary in half to $7 million. Oh, my God. I don't know how I'm going to live on $7 million a year. And then, 3 or 4 years later, Brad, we're only paying you $3.5 million. Oh, $3.5 million. I don't know. Is that tough life or what?
Well, people grow into the amount of money that they make.
Yeah, but still, I mean, if you were making $10 million a year and the boss called you in and said, Shelley, times are sort of tough here at the radio station. We're only going to pay you $5 million from now on. And you'd go like, oh, God, I don't know if I can live on $5 million a year, right?
I mean, I could live on $5 million a year, but when you're used to making $14 million for how many years?
Yeah, but come on,
I'm just saying. I mean, you grow into your lifestyle.
Okay, to me, I scratch my head on that one because I'm thinking to myself, if they cut me down to $1 million a year, I'd still go like, yeah, I don't know, it's going to be tough, but I can do it.
I know, me too. But he's going to come back as a radio consultant.
No. It's
just like FAA people, when they retire, they come back the next day as a contractor. That's true.
When I retire, I'm going to come back as a steel-belted radio.
You're never going to retire, Brad.
Yeah, that's right. 728, Westplex 107.1. She's always talking. She'll never stop. And this is the reason why.
Kind of like you. You never stop talking.
Listen to you. And I thought we were friends. We're not friends anymore. You're mad at me?
We are friends, Brad. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. You walked right into that.
I walked right into that. Well, you know what? I didn't walk into it. You walked into it because do you know how that song started?
I do not.
They recorded our show one morning. And I said something that Shelley didn't like, and she got upset with me, and she said, calm down. So Katy Perry thought, wow, what a great way to put that into a song. Calm down.
Indeed. See, so we're making our mark on the world by our lovely little show. and we're making people smile, sometimes roll their eyes. So
No, we're giving
and now we're in inviting songs. I mean,
we're giving them the
we are
okay
just
symbol.
making ripples all over the place.
Yeah, we're giving them the okay symbol. Hey, okay. Which is now you can't use it
I
anymore.
still think that's BS.
Did you look at it? It's on my Facebook page. It's
No.
funny. I had a couple calls on that. I had a call and I had a text. People are going like, "Are you serious? That's a racist symbol now. You can't like okay somebody." No, that's white power. Okay, it's not okay anymore. It's white power. Can you believe it?
well,
I mean,
that's a
but
bunch of
what's
BS.
funny, we should start something like that. We should start something like hello. Well, that means really that you're going to hell. Oh. So
I don't think
if you
so,
say
Brad.
hi, if you say hi to someone, they say hello. You go like, I can't believe you said that. You're telling me I'm going to hell. Oh, and I don't want to go to hell because I'm a
Oh.
good person. Oh hell,
Oh.
hell, hello.
Hell, oh.
The what's funny is if you go back. Oh my God! Yesterday, you're not gonna believe this. Talking about this, I heard this guy talking about how upset a bunch of people are because the number one or the number two show on streaming, the show that's been streamed the most, guess what show it is? It's not currently on TV, but it was a big hit on TV. But it's not currently on TV. I guess it's in reruns, but it's not. They're not making any more of them. And
And it's a podcast?
well, no, it's on Netflix. They were talking about this. This is like the
okay,
number
yeah.
one or number two streamed. I can't remember if it's the number one or number two streamed show on Netflix. Take a guess. Six people, three guys, three gals. They live in New York City.
Friends?
Yes. Okay. And I swear I couldn't believe this guy. He was saying that how horrible it was that show's so popular because it has all these racist and sexist overtones, and all the other overtones. Because who's the gal that Courtney Cox? What character does she play?
I don't know. I think Rachel.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well,
I honestly don't know.
The backstory on her was that she used to be real heavy, and they make fun of her all the time because of the fact that he mentioned one episode where they talked about they got some pies and they were not going to put them in the refrigerator because if they put them in the refrigerator, she would eat them and get fat again. And he's like, oh, and look, they're talking about her body image and how they're making fun of her because they couldn't put pies in the refrigerator, and how there's homophobic overtones to the show, and there's racial insensitivity, and there's hardly any black people in the show, and when they go in New
What
York.
about Seinfeld? And it was
Well, but
uber popular.
I'm going like, okay, whatever. I mean, it's to the point now. Can we do? I mean, what are we going to say about Donald Duck? He doesn't wear any clothes. Neither does, or Mickey Mouse wears like a little, but Donald Duck doesn't wear any clothes, right?
Donald Duck wears a shirt and no pants.
That's right, a shirt, no pants. We can't have that anymore, can we? No,
but he wears a hat,
he wears a hat.
but no pants.
In so many cartoon characters, you go like, okay, like okay, that's interesting. It's sort of like watching those goofy TV commercials on TV with the bears and toilet paper.
I know. I miss Mr. Whipple. They need to bring him back.
I mean, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so.
But realistically, how do you talk about toilet paper without?
Well,
to make it appealing to people to buy that brand.
I don't, but see here once again, here's the problem. I can tell you the commercial. I can't tell you the brand. I don't know the brand. Do you know the brand?
Charmin.
Oh, is that what it is? Is it
Yeah.
Charmin? Is the Charmin in the Bear in the Woods thing?
Yeah, please don't squeeze the Charmin.
I don't. Well, but see, I remember that from the Mr. Whipple because he said, "Please
Yeah.
don't squeeze the
Yes.
Charmin." We talk about this. You and I talk about this, and we had the pleasure of going down to talk to James Sinclair. Was it last year?
That was lovely.
And then his advertising guy. And his advertising guy is a real big internet guy. And he came out and said, the internet has killed branding because in card, everybody's like, I want the lowest price. I want the lowest price. And, it could be Joe Schlock Motors, where come on in and you know what? We're going to take every penny you got and we're going to give you the world's worst service, but we're going to give you the lowest price. And that was sort of the point he was making, that people still buy, especially big ticket items like cars. They buy things because they want to buy it from someone who, if there's a problem, will stand behind it. A warranty issue or just, any kind of an issue. Like, the thing with like the used cars, Dave Sinclair. If it's not right, we'll make it right free. Okay? You know that if you buy a used car from one of the Sinclair dealerships, that if there's a problem developed, they'll take care of it for you. Okay? That's what they do. And that was the point he was saying, that everybody's gotten away from branding, and it's gotten to the point where everybody's just price. And he said that the pendulum will swing back the other way. The people will go like, okay, I don't really care. I do want a low price, but I want to get it from someone who is reliable and it'll be there from a week from Tuesday. Which is sort of interesting.
Yes.
And then,
which is a struggle.
Yeah. But you know what?
What?
We're here to help you navigate the struggle, right? Shelley and I.
Yes, that is absolutely correct.
You will take care of you, no matter what. I'm like a politician. I'm going to give you $1,000 a month. I'm going to give you a free car, free health care, free place to live, free vacations. You'll get 26-week vacation every year. And if you get sick, you'll get 2 years pay. No questions asked. Vote for me.
Well, I would vote for you.
Who wouldn't? 741 Westplex 107.1. Playing that song for my niece, Christy. Yes, Christy loves every time.
That's her favorite song, isn't it?
No, she hates that song.
I know she does.
I don't think she knew I switched radio stations, but when I was on KSLQ, she used to call me, Uncle Brad, I hate that song. Stop playing that song.
That's kind of cute, actually.
Yeah, well, she's a school teacher, so, she doesn't like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I think she's going to retire soon.
How old is she?
33.
She's not going to retire.
She's got her 15 years in or something like that. So isn't it time to retire?
No, I think it's 30.
You know what I forgot to do? I got to ring the bell this morning. Yes, you know what?
Tisky.
Salvation Army, they need your help. The bell ringers are out there. You know what? This is going to be a tough season for them. Short season because of Thanksgiving being so late, and also Monday and Tuesday, not a lot of people out on the road, especially Monday. I told the story about how I had to find a place that was open Monday night to eat dinner. Ended up at the casino, me and 3 guys. That was it. It was literally, I went to the, ever been to the sports bar there at the casino, Maristar?
I have.
Yeah, it was me and 2 other guys at the bar, and that was all that was in the place. I mean, we had the place to ourselves, and it was sort of nice. Actually, I haven't eaten there in a long time, and the burger was really good. I have to go back there and have it was.
You are a burger aficionado.
Oh man, it was like they've changed their menu around. I can remember eating there before. It was like, it was okay, and I go in, okay, fine. I'll order a burger and French fries. The French fries were really good, and the burger was excellent, and it was big too. I mean, probably like a half-pound burger. So have to go back there again. They don't advertise with this though. You know what though? I remember when they first opened the casino, and it was always packed, and all of them. And to me, it just seems like if you go, and I don't go that much anymore. And you know me, I'm not a gambler. But the interesting thing about it is, and Shelley, I know you're a smoker, and I get it. But there are people who are non-smokers. I know people who won't set foot in one of the casinos because of the smoke. And it was interesting because I got in the parking garage on the 4th level, got in the elevator, came down, the doors open, hit you right in the face, smoke. And there weren't a lot of people there.
How is that possible? Because they don't allow smoking. They only allow smoking in the casino itself.
It goes all over the place, though. Just like, remember in the old days, we used to go to used to go to the movies and there was the smoking and the non-smoking sections. Like, okay, let me think about this for a minute. Did they put like a big wall up between the 2 sections? No. So if you're over in the right smoking and I'm over in the left non-smoking, guess what? Your smoke's going to drift over and, be in my place. Just like if you have a house, if your house catches fire, just like that poor Target store down in Chesterfield Valley. There, that guy that went in and
Whatever happened with that?
If you know the story, the guy went in and set a fire in the Target store as a diversion because then he went up and robbed the jewelry counter at Macy's or something like that.
Yes, he did.
It's like, okay, what the hell? I mean, think about that for a minute. Talk about people who don't really give a rip about anybody else. He starts a fire in a store Which, and once again, that fire could have gotten out of control.
Could have.
Could have
You were
killed
absolutely
people.
correct. Usually it's a bank they start a fire in.
Well, once again, he doesn't give a rip about anybody. It's all about him. So he starts a fire in the Target store, drives up to the Macy's, because think about it, they're all the police cars are heading down to, in the valley down to the Target store, and and all the fire department, and he's up at the Macy's store robbing the place. But anyway, the idea being is that they closed the store. Remember they took every single piece of merchandise out of the store and had to clean the store. Same thing happened, 10, 12 years ago at the Schnuck store in Washington, where they had a compressor in one of the freezers that caused a fire. A very minor fire, but it was a smoky fire. They completely threw away every single item in that store. They went through and they cleaned every single surface. They repainted the walls, scrubbed the floors, threw all the stuff away, completely restocked the store. What must have that cost? You know what I'm thinking? Think about that for a minute.
It's called insurance, Brad.
Yeah, but still, they're out of business for a couple of weeks. The place is shut down. That, like with the Target store. They were closed for what, week and a half? Something like that. In the Christmas season, think of the money they lost. And I know some people are going to, well, Target's a big company. They can afford to lose money. Yeah, but there were people that, were out of work. I don't know if they laid them off or what the deal was, but, sad situation. And some goof who's going to start a fire so he can go rob a jewelry store. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Things that make you go,
What was that again?
I'm not going to say it.
What was that again?
Oh, you're such a man-child. You never fail to not disappoint.
Oh, you know what we didn't do this morning? We didn't do the anniversaries and birthdays.
Oh, please don't.
Really?
The man's like 42 now. Stop it.
Hugh's 42? Is that what you're saying?
Hugh is 42.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Westplex 107.1. Call me maybe. Just call me. That's going to do it for BS in the morning.
Except for late for dinner. Don't call me late for dinner.
That's the dinner bell, isn't it? No, that's the Salvation Army.
That's the Salvation Army bell.
That's the Salvation Army bell. It is time for us to tell you once again, you hear that sound? Salvation Army bell. Put some money in the kettle. Help out people that you never know. It might be your neighbor. It might be someone in your family. It might be you that needs help someday. So I guess you can sort of pay it forward by putting some money in the kettle. Well, that's going to do it for BS in the morning. Shelley, time
Brad?
for you to introduce
the most, what is it? The most famous man in St. Charles steps up to the microphone and says,
and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight and then watch the hair come back up again.
You're so wrong on so many levels. I'm not doing that again. I say that every day, and every day I do that. But
now the most important man in St. Charles County steps to the microphone and says,
"Hey, people, your mom called. She says to call Extreme Electrical for your residential, commercial, or industrial needs. Give us a call, 636-925-2988, or on the web at extremeelectricalstl.com.
296 AJ Washington,